Are you the reason poor children are starving and suffering? There's one simple action you can take right now to help end all suffering children. Find out what it is. Hint, it doesn't cost you a single bit of money. 99% of the world pays for school. Everywhere else outside of your country, they pay for school. From pre-K to kindergarten to university, all schools cost money, some way, shape, or form. If the government doesn't subsidize the school 100%, then the parents have to pay the balance or pay all of the costs of their children's school. It's a big industry. So even if you are not familiar with directly coming out of your pocket to pay cash for school of your children, most people are. That's just the way it is. And educational expenses are growing rapidly as time goes on. Look, even if you don't directly pay tuition for some of your children's schooling, the books, materials, study materials, books, bags, clothes, shoes, lunches, transportation, everything else surrounding the educational experience costs you money. It costs people money. It's just what it is. Education is not a charity. It's not friendly or kind. It's an essential service for humanity that costs people money. Now, a lot of people have rationalized in their brain that students going to school is natural. It's natural part of growing up. It's just something they do. But they don't think about the humanity of the students. They separate the child. They separate the child from the student, which is weird. The students are just little people, and then medium-sized people, and then eventually big people. Students come in all shapes and sizes. But what I mean is, students are people, and they go to a place for 8 hours a day, and they do something that they must do for those 8 hours. What does that sound like? It sounds like a job. You go to a place that you may not want to go to, but you have to in order to fulfill your role, and do some work. Whatever that work is, you're doing it for the time you're there. It's mandatory because that's your role and you may or may not get compensated for. In the case of students, who are people, they go to school, which is where they work. They do their work, which is studying, taking tests, learning things, reading books, writing essays, whatever, drawing pictures, painting, making music, learning to socialize and performing, networking and sport. There's a whole lot of stuff students do. It's all a kind of work. And what do they get for it? They don't get the same thing that you and I get. You and I go to work and we get some money. Students, they go to work. Now, I was wrong to say students don't get anything from going to school. Actually, a majority of students will get some stars while they're at school, or they'll get some points, or they'll get some tickets from their teacher, because as a teacher, it's our job to manage a bunch of young minds, right? So that they maximize their efficiency and their output. We as teachers, people like me, are trained to get the most from the workers, the students. We make them work hard so that so that they take in the most knowledge and output the most proof of that knowledge. And in order to do that, we have to use some sort of reward mechanism, just like everything needs a reward for work, right? Their parents go to work and they get rewarded with money. Dogs go to work and they get rewarded with treats. Students, they go to work and, well, they got to get something, or else they're going to be acting up and they're going to be bad and they're not going to focus. So we give them some stars. We give them points. We give them tickets. That is the trick that teachers play on students to make them seem like they're being fairly compensated for good behavior and good output. Your kids, if you have children who are students, they get these things. It's basically ubiquitous across the educational industry. It's what needed to be created. So your students get stars. What's interesting about these stars is they're just made up. They come out of the teacher's mind and they just give them away freely as they decide. Right? They give them away to students for their good behavior and their good their good grades on tests. They give them away for participation and not talking or being good, showing good social skills and being humane or friendly with their, showing cooperation with fellow classmates, all of that stuff. They just give them away freely. They're not worth anything, is what you may be thinking. But they're wrong. Stars, tickets, points, they are valuable. Why? Because the teacher awards them to students, so the students feel good about getting them. But usually, also, the students can redeem their points or stars for little knickknacks, for nonsense. They can get pens or pencils or books or whatever the teacher decides to provide for them to spend their points on. I want you to remember that. Remember very clearly. Stars come from the teacher's brain. They just give them away as they want. They come out of nowhere. But the stars are valuable. They are worth something. The students collect the stars and redeem the stars for prizes provided by the teacher. All right? The teacher creates the stars. The teacher has some prizes, and the students buy those prizes by using their stars, points, or tickets. Now, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with cryptocurrency? What does it have to do with marks? You can't sell stars on the open market. They're only valuable in the classroom. Brought to you as always by Nescafe. I want you to remember one big drawback here, all right? Although stars work well for classroom management, for motivating students, they work well. They work well because the students can redeem them for prizes. The prizes cost real money, all right? And that money usually comes out of a teacher's pocket. Some schools may provide prizes for students, but then the cost of the prizes comes from the budget of the school. The prizes cost money, they cost dollars or whatever, and those dollars need to be paid usually by the teachers or by the schools. So the stars are only valuable in that class, and the teachers have to invest their own money in order to make those stars valuable. But luckily, there is an alternative. There's an alternative. We are going to change the world by insisting that our teachers use marks. Our teachers will use mark tokens or mark coins, the new cryptocurrency. It's not super new, but it's new. Created by the Gain Foundation. And in using those, instead of stars, we will solve some fundamental issues, not only with classroom management and student motivation, but parent involvement, educational costs, the educational loan industry, school quality, and access and availability of a variety of educational resources all around the world, and possibly human poverty. It's possible we could end all poverty. It's possible. There's still some, fundamental problems with people in general. We have some flaws that make us prone to destroy our own lives regardless of the benefits we may have at our disposal. So you can't eliminate bad things. You can't eliminate poverty, but you can at least make it much easier to avoid a poverty situation. And that is simply by insisting that our teachers use marks instead of using imaginary points or stars or tickets. Use marks, don't use stars. You will improve your own life and the life of every student you ever teach from now until the end of history. Let's get into it. You're going to want to hear this. So, cryptocurrencies, they start at zero. They're worth nothing because they're imaginary, kind of, right? Just like stars, but they quickly increase in value. For example, marks started at zero, but marks have been circulated a little bit, funded a little bit by the Gain Foundation, and now they're worth what our original projections were for the value of a single mark was 35 cents, about 0.35 USD. That's 35 cents. All right, you do the math or you convert that. That's what our original projection was for the value of a mark. After a single day, all right, of transactions, not a lot of transactions, it's just a few users transacting in marks. The marks have tripled in value from in some markets. Some markets they've tripled in value, and in some actually they went down a little bit, which is interesting. And there's the markets. That's beyond me. So if you're a financial person, you're financially minded or math minded, and you want to get in on this world-changing, world-improving technology, please contact me. Let's do this. All right. Because now marks, as of right now, you can go to a cryptocurrency exchange and get a mark for what's $1. So it was like 35 cents. Now it's like a little more than $1. And then on one exchange, we found that it's only 15 cents. So there may be some room for arbitrage. Look, again, I'm not a financial guy. I'm not a degen anymore. I used to be. I'm not anymore. I'm not aping all my money into some crypto stuff. And I don't suggest anyone do that. These marks are not a financial investment. Full stop. That's it. I'm not telling anyone that they can or can't make or lose money with marks. I'm just telling you that right now, on one exchange, marks go for about more than $1, and on another exchange, they go for 15 cents. So you do what you will with that. I'm not investing in them, and I'm not telling you to. All right, marks are created and managed by a philanthropic organization called the Gang Foundation, whose mission is to improve people's lives. It is to aid humanity, make human society better for all people forever. It is not to make a bunch of money. Now, it will make a bunch of money as a consequence of improving society. That's guaranteed. The Gang Foundation will make a bunch of money in its efforts to improve humanity. But that is not the goal. The money is not the goal. The improvement is the goal. So, marks have become very valuable very quickly, and they will get much more valuable as more teachers, which again, tell your student's teacher that they need to use marks instead of stars. They will understand what you're talking about. This is across all teachers in all developed nations. Now, there may be some less developed or developing places that don't employ stars. But again, still, students live and die by their teachers' approval, and the teachers have to be able to communicate that approval in some way, shape, or form. It may not be stars, it may be something else, but stars are free for teachers. So, I've had some initial teachers ask this question about the value, about who's going to pay for all of this, right? So here's how it works. The Gang Foundation gives a grant of marks to teachers and to schools and institutions. They just cover the cost. That's it. So just like stars and tickets, just the teacher will print them out or write them down. They come out of nowhere and they just get spent by the students. The marks replace those same stars the same way. Doesn't cost any money up front. The Gang Foundation simply gives the teacher a grant of $100,000 or maybe more. It just depends. And and then the teacher, instead of giving stars, will start giving their students actual, real money. It's exciting. This is exciting. Now, you can't just give these away to every school in the world. Obviously, they must actually be worth something in order to be worth something. So here's how it will happen. A select group of initial adopters, that's a few big institutions and a few private teachers or something in between that, will receive the grants. But after that, the institutions, the schools, and the private teachers can purchase. They can purchase marks. Marks will never be for sale on the general market. The Gang Foundation will never accept random people to just buy them and try to trick. That's not how it works. No. And even institutions, it's a multi-step process. All right, it's easy, but just to make sure this endeavor stays 100% honest, we don't plan to sell marks for direct cash money. That's not the plan. All right? But yes, After the first stage, they will be for sale. Now, I say for sale because for sale, I don't mean that. For sale implies you spend money and you get something and that money is gone. But it's not an investment. I don't want to say for investment either. It's just a reusable resource. That's what I would say. So it's not a one-time purchase. It's something that a school will buy and then use in their educational instruction. They will include a package of marks as part of the tuition that students pay. I have a gecko or something on the roof, and I discovered this when I moved to Vietnam, that the little lizards make noises like birds. If you ever had any doubt that the dinosaurs evolved into modern day birds, just look at the similarity between birds and lizards. They both be like clucking. It's weird. Anyway, so if you hear that, there's nothing I can do. Those little lizards just get in and out everywhere. So after stage one, the grants, comes stage two, the sales. But then marks will be so valuable that the initial institutions and teachers who got grants or bought them for their current low price, once the adoption is wider, they will be able to use the marks that they have, because they're going to get big packages, right? Big package of 1 million marks or something like that. Right now, a mark is worth, again, it fluctuates, but we'll just say it's worth 35 cents on average. All right, so they're going to get a package of those, and that's going to be at a discount. The institutions and the private teachers will not pay the market price for marks, again, because they're not an investment. This is not some stocks, that's not what this is. These are a reusable, valuable resource and a valuable educational resource. And as such, educational institutions will get them for a certain rate. And after that, they will be worth whatever they're really worth. But when they get them from the Gain Foundation, the price is not based on market conditions like that, okay? So, but the simplest way to say this is that institutions and teachers get marks at a deep discount and then sell them, include them in their educational packages as part of the whole tuition agreement. Students pay tuition to study at a school, and with that tuition comes access to classes, access to teacher, access to books and materials and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Marks are just included in that educational package. It's just one of the resources that comes along with their study. This is not a financial instrument. I'm making that clear. I don't want anyone to be confused. There's no scamming. There's no investments. There's no pyramids. There's not none of that. This is simply an educational resource that replaces the inefficient and the bad one that we have now. The bad one we have now is every teacher for themselves just coming up with their own levels and systems and trying to make it work. That's gone. Simply making a simple change will course correct education for all of humanity forever. Okay, now, when it comes to students, right? Students can't buy marks. They can apply and go to a school, and the school will give them marks. The same way schools give them stars and tickets, the students get the marks free and clear. Now, when I say give, I don't mean that. They will earn them the same way they earn stars and tickets and tokens and blah 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 points. Students will earn marks by showing up to class every day, right? They get a long, perfect attendance record. They're going to earn some marks for that. Students will earn marks by completing their homework. They complete their homework all week, they get marks. If they take a test and they get above a certain score, they get 2 marks. If they get below that certain score, they get 1 mark. You see how this works? Good behavior in the class, raising your hand, all of this, participate, that marks. I want to make this abundantly clear. Eventually, students will earn enough marks to pay for 100% of their education costs, including university fees at any institution for which they academically qualify, no matter how prestigious or expensive. Cue CSI Miami music. You might even say they'll be marked for your success. Cue CSI Miami music. You might even say they'll be marked for success. I thought that was funny. So I just want you to stop, process that information, and then imagine what happens when every student in the world can afford a Harvard education, paying straight cash with no loans. What will happen in this world when every student goes to school for 12, 14, 18 years, 20 years, and the entire time they are earning money for their studies? Not just any money, probably what in Gang Foundation financial projections will be the most valuable cryptocurrency in the world. More valuable than Bitcoin. Why? Because it will be used by more people. See, the education sphere is unique. It's unique. Bitcoin is adopted by people who need to send and receive money across borders. So it's very useful. It's quick, it's easy. No complications. Other cryptocurrencies have different pros and cons for doing the same thing, allowing different kinds of financial instruments and governance methods. It's just technology. It's all just technology. And this technology, focused specifically on education, makes it unique in that we can require every student in the world to use it. All of the other cryptocurrencies are a choice. It's a choice made by adults. They have a choice to use Bitcoin or a choice to use Ethereum. Eventually, there may be another option besides marks, but right now and for the foreseeable future, there isn't. If your teacher adopts marks, if the teachers of your children adopt and use marks, your children may earn more money than you do simply for studying at school. This will be amazing. The future is very bright. But let's role play. Let's continue the thread. If every student earned enough to cover 100% of their educational costs, what happens? One, many more high-end institutions will open at all levels. That means more prestigious universities, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, pre-Ks, many more educational institutions will open at all levels. That means in every country and locality. All right? You're not just going to get a high-end kindergarten in the wealthy neighborhoods of New York. Right? You're not just going to have those limited places. Now, since every student can afford to go to that high-end kindergarten, they'll just open high-end kindergartens everywhere. What's going to happen? Ooh, think about the education that future generations will receive. All right. Now, even the difference between a normal and a high-end institution will be diminished. The gap will close. All right. Every school will basically have unlimited budget. Every student who goes to that school will be earning marks. The marks are only used for education. That's an amazing feature. Only used for education. Because, all right, so not because, but since that is the case, anything that has to do with education, the students will invest their money directly. A school needs a new music program. They just say, hey, students, you guys want a music program? And then the students can invest their money in a music program. The school wants to do a school field trip to Fiji, right? A little school in Kenya wants to get their students international outlook to see the possibilities, what the rest of the world holds. So they say, hey, you guys want to go to Fiji? All right, we're going to need 100 marks from every student. And then they book a ticket to Fiji for every student, and they take care of all the visas and all blah, blah, blah. Because the students are earning money. Now, that covers the institutions. We're going to have a bunch of great institutions. What about teachers? What's going to happen? This is what gets me really hyped because I'm a teacher. All right, we have a bunch of limitations placed on our ability to climb different corporate or professional or achievement-based ladders. Excuse me. Teachers are limited right now, but once they start using marks, they will not be. Again, teachers will control the marks for their classrooms in some cases, especially a private teacher. They're just going to imagine you're a private teacher and you're sitting on 10 million marks for your students, and whatever those are worth. It's not about the money, but you're sitting on a bunch of marks, and you have to make some decisions about what to include in your course and what kind of materials and but you may have some students who could afford in the past and some who couldn't, right? There's a bunch of, as a private teacher, I know, students, they'd be negotiating, right? They'd be like, I don't want to pay this price, and I don't want to do this lesson. I don't want to, can we split this payment? There's a bunch of negotiating because funds are limited. But now, with marks, the teacher gives the students their salary, the salary for their work that they complete, and then the students pay the teacher using those same marks. It's a great system. It's very good. Very good. But now imagine there's 1 million more schools. They need 1 million more teachers. And every school has unlimited budget to pay for the best teachers. Now those rock star teachers are going to get rock star salaries. Rock star teachers get rock star salaries. Those very highly educated, highly specialized, super niche, super accomplished, super experienced, even trade teachers that have a history of success and a wealth of knowledge in their trade. Now let's keep this train of thought. There's a bunch more institutions and they can charge whatever they want because all of the funds are paid. There's a bunch more teachers and they can get paid much, much higher salaries so that they become much, much better teachers overall. Now, next, the students are the ones actually making the money. And as marks spread to more and more schools, it will have more and more users. And this growth is exponential. What's different about marks is it's not like other cryptocurrencies where you're pulling one user here, pulling one user here. This is all institutional. That means you sign one institution to use marks and all of their students, all of the workers at that institution automatically are enrolled. They automatically start earning marks. So a school might have 500 students. We talk to one principal, one school board, and get approval, and we've got 500. One more, we got 1,000. One more, we got 2,000. One more, and it will just spread. All right, so what's going to happen as more and more schools adopt marks, which again, they don't cost people anything. They don't cost anything to people. So adoption is very, very, very easy. It's as simple as like adding a couple graphics to the welcome letter in the school newspaper every year. It's, hey, welcome to a new school year at Riverside Elementary. This year we have a new program. Every student gets paid every day with marks. It costs nothing. You don't have to do anything. It's all done, right? So it's that simple. And then they could run down the benefits. Anyway, so this is all but guaranteed to spread like wildfire. And when it does, the value of the marks will grow and grow and grow. As I said earlier, marks are about 35 cents now. Projections put marks, and this may sound like a crazy number. Projections put marks at $1 million a mark. So what does that mean? Well, now, of course, I'm not a super financial guy, just projections based on the amount of people using it and the amount of the supply and the usefulness. But again, any asset, anything worth 1 million, one single coin worth $1 million, it gets into the theoretical realm. We don't know. I don't know. Some people may know. A lot of people think Bitcoin will be the first coin that gets up to that super high level. It's at like, it at one time it was at 60,000 for one Bitcoin, and it started at 0.0000000, right? So there's precedent. This happens. Bitcoin is just optional. So its growth has not been as steady as it could be. But marks will be mandatory. So, and I don't want to say mandatory, not mandatory. I mean, is getting money for doing work you already do, is that mandatory, or is that like a gift or a bonus or benefit? I'm not going to be the judge. I'm sure there'll be some naysayers who want to say, you can't force kids to take this free money for the work that they do every day, all day. Maybe there will be someone who says that, and I look forward to debating that person whenever they appear. But so these things are going to get crazy valuable. Just imagine, just for sake of argument, say it's $1,000 per coin, and a student every day, and they come to class, earns three to five, depending on the whatever. It fluctuates depending on what they do that day. So just for showing up, they might get one, and then for taking a test, there will be a pool. When they take a test, there will be a pool of marks, and whoever gets the highest score on the test will get the biggest portion of the pool. But everyone gets a piece of it. Everyone gets something, but so this encourages competition and accountability and putting in effort and studying at home. So the quality of our students is going to be insane. All right, it's going to be insane. I can't even imagine what's going to happen. I can't. I can. The closest thing I can imagine to what will happen once every student is making $2,000-$3,000 a day. Every student around the world, in the entire world, every student in the world earns $1,000 or $2,000 a day. The kind of societies we will have to build. I think it's a beautiful future that is starting today. So, that said, the students will earn two or three. They may earn 2,000 or 3,000 in the future, but whatever. You can pick whatever number. It will quickly become more than enough to cover the cost of their studies. And the overage over the cost of their studies would go towards extracurriculars, wardrobes. It could go towards volunteer projects. Remember, the competition for schools may become kind of crazy, may become kind of next level. Just overall, humanity as a whole is going to take a great leap forward, just because of the extra motivation, I think. And the increased number of students who will be studying, right? So right now we have about 1.5 billion students, and on any day there's 1.5 billion students studying in any level, whatever subject. But when students get paid, it will become a viable, career path, like those I don't want to call them academics. What am I thinking of? I read fantasy novels. I'm thinking of the mystics who just spend their entire life devoted to studying the whatever science or magic, just locked in the tower. They don't have to worry about things because they're just so dedicated to studying and improving and advancing the knowledge on whatever subject. They're not academics. What am I thinking of? Wizards. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So more people will become students from all levels, adults, grandmas and grandpas, whatever. They'll all become students, and we will have more students devoted to learning and improving the human condition. So I think it's great. But yeah, so they're going to have a bunch of extra money, which they can use, put towards extracurricular activities to get into more prestigious universities and whatnots. And then the people who are not going to become scholars, that's what I was thinking of. The people who are not going to become scholars, right? They're normal people, right? Everyone's not going to excel at academics, and that's okay. Right now, if you don't excel at academics, you are punished in your life. Every student who is not at the top is by default punished. They have wasted their time. If your students are not the best or near the best, all of their time spent in school has been wasted because they just get normal jobs. They just come out of school with knowledge that's useless for them. Unless they're the best of the best and they can get a job where they put the knowledge to use. I mean, an auto mechanic doesn't need 14 years of schooling. So what do they accomplished by doing that 14 years? Practically nothing. Symbolically, they may have accomplished something. They may have gained knowledge, but most likely not, because even children realize if they're not the best, then it doesn't make sense for them to really apply themselves in class, and they just become class clowns, or they sleep or goof off or skip or go to the bathroom and smoke cigarettes. We know delinquent culture. There's no reason to be wear rose-tinted glasses with this topic. If the students are not the best, in general, they just become assholes trying to pass the time in this forced, semi-torturous environment that they have to go to every day when they could be doing something useful, engaging, and fun, or helping their family. I mean, there's so many other options. At least if we're going to force every student to go to school, they should get something practical, useful. So an auto mechanic, someone who is destined to be an auto mechanic, can go to school for 14 years, and then when they get out of university, not only will they have gained a bunch of knowledge, making them more well-rounded humans, able to practice critical thinking skills and examine topics with a kind of nuance that the normal common man does not have the ability to examine so many topics with the nuance that they deserve. And it's what causes this lack of ability, education, practice really splits people on issues and things that are nuanced, that may not just be two-sided, right? People have to very quickly make choices about things that actually don't require choices, and or through careful examination may have alternative paths, right? So much of society is split and at war with itself. I don't want to say because of a lack of education. It's a kind of a skill set that take a step back, re-examine, take a reference from other great thinkers, see what their thoughts on the matter were, see if their opinions influence yours, and if you can find holes in opposition or even your own arguments. It's a whole process. It's a thinking process that, for the most part, 90% of schooling doesn't prepare someone for, right? Adults don't have to know everything about math, but they do have to be able to examine political and social issues. But it seems like political and social issues are the ones that we are the fastest to take out of the classroom. Don't ask me, hey. I come from a family of slaves. They don't want to talk about it. Anyway, as I was saying, marks are going to be worth a lot of money. Every student in the world is going to have them, and every student in the world is not going to become a great scholar or academic. Some will just become normal people, and when they get out of school to do normal things like buy houses, start businesses, build families, move out of the home with mom and dad, when they want to do these things, they don't need to be saddled with thousands and thousands and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in debt. That's what people don't need. They don't need to get out of school where they have been working 8 hours a day for 12 years. They have no money, and they come out and they actually just have debt. They owe money. It's insane, and it's unacceptable. It's not how civilized people should treat their youth. It's not what people should do. We should allow them to work and be productive and earn income just like everybody else. Equality, fairness. So just think about that. What's going to happen to the student loan industry? What's going to happen to housing industry? What's going to happen to businesses? The economics of any country when 100% of the business-minded people can start businesses. Some people are like, oh, they don't want the government in their business, or they don't want the government in their interfering in their lives. They don't want to pay taxes. Maybe we don't have to pay any more taxes because we just do everything ourselves. Or some people like the idea of taxes getting taken out and collecting dues and redistributing. And so maybe there's a bunch of people who've been making, $2,000 a day for 12 years, and they get out of school and they got a little tax burden on their hands, and then that taxes gets put back into society to improve the roads or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. That's not for me to think about or care about. What I do see is that there's going to be a bunch more people with a bunch more money, and more money is better because economics. That's it. I want to get into this serious issue now. There's a serious side to this, right? From my point of view, from where I am and many other people, there's a bunch of financial upside. And that's what it is. It's financial upside and potential for even more growth and enrichment. But for a lot of people in this world, going to school contributes to their family suffering, right? It's a burden that their parents carry. And then when they, take care of that burden, they then put a whole bunch of stress and guilt on their children to carry that as revenge for the financial burden. But no, in all seriousness, there are poor people. There are people who are impoverished, who don't have adequate housing, who don't always have enough to eat. I'm not just talking about first world countries where there's whatever poor is in your country. There are poor people where there's a choice between one child going to school or another child going to school. One child must stay home, and only one can go to school. Right? There's real poor where it's time to work the field, so you can't go to school for whatever this month or whatever, or you got to drop out to help with the family finances, or heck, parents die and then people are orphans, or people get injured and they're disabled and they can't make enough money to. there are levels. And if a student can earn money by going to school, that money can help their family and help the student. How many students do we always hear about that just are malnourished? They're just not getting adequate, healthy food, or the only meal they eat is at school, right? Because they don't have any money. They don't have any money. They can't earn money because they have to go to school. They have to rely on their parents, and every parent isn't reliable. I don't want to be the only one who says it. Every parent isn't reliable. So Marx makes the student, Marx allows the student to be efficient, accomplished, mature, accountable, profitable. Marx helps students who in turn can help their families. That's it. To wrap it all up, I just want to say Nescafe. All right, Nescafe brings you all of these. I haven't had coffee in many, many hours. So I am visibly tired. If I had a Nescafe, I would be brimming with energy and pep. Anyway, to wrap it all up, to tie it all together, adopting Marx costs nothing, and it is a viable first step toward a golden age of human learning and achievement and prosperity. And I challenge any single person, fight me, debate me. See if you can debunk what I'm saying, okay? A very, very small, simple change in the way we do things will make a tremendous difference in not only my life, but your life. Everyone's lives will improve simply by using this free coin. Just use it, and life will get better. That's it. That's the line. That's it. That's the conclusion. Use Marx. Life will get better.